So guys, welcome back to a brand new news roundup video, and today we've actually got quite a lot to go over. I say that every time, but no, really, we've got all new details on Batman Caped Crusader. Not only did we get the voice of Batman himself revealing all of the cast members for the show, but we've got entirely new details from Vanity Fair that goes over the characters of Harley Quinn, Harvey Dent, Selena Kyle, Batman himself, the maturity of the series, all of that good stuff. So we're going to do a deep dive into that to begin with, but then we're going to get into some other news from the Penguin. We got a new trailer for that. We're also going to go over some Superman and Lois updates, and then of course the DCU itself, because yes, there's even more set photos for Metropolis, giving us the Daily Planet globe and other little clues and teasers. And knowing my luck, there's probably going to be like Superman himself on set by the time I release this video. So a jam-packed one today. I recommend watching from start to finish, but as usual, these videos are timestamped with video chapters if you want to skip around. I do want to remind everyone, because it actually does seem to be working, but do consider subscribing, because you might think you're already subscribed, but I'm looking right now from the last 28 days on my channel of regular viewers, 47.1% of you aren't subscribed. So maybe today is the day you subscribe and continue to enjoy the content here. At least I hope so. But yeah, double check that red button. But let's get into the very beginning here, because I've got quite a bit to say about Batman Caped Crusader. So Amazon Prime Video released somewhat of a teaser trailer, I guess you could say. Not necessarily with new footage. They announced a fantastic cast, but the cool thing about it is that we had the voice actor for Batman himself actually revealing those names. And I am very happy with the cast, and Batman himself, I would not have expected this, but it is Hamish Linklater. And I absolutely love this guy. I've seen him in Midnight Mass and a few other things, but Midnight Mass is where I feel like he really popped off to a lot of audiences. He was Monsignor Pruitt, and I've seen that show and rewatched it like 2 or 3 times. Now, I have to admit, when I first heard the voice, I was a bit like, I'm not sure, you know, I don't know. I mean, it's not bad, but I'm not like, oh my God, this is incredible. But the bit that got me at the end is where he was like, and I'm Hamish Linklater, and I am Batman. And that part is the part that pulled it off for me. I'm going to try and show a little clip right now, just in case some of you who haven't heard the voice, but, you know, copyright stuff is very easily triggered here on YouTube. So here is a brief clip of his Batman voice.
And I'm Hamish Linklater. I am Batman.
And he said to Vanity Fair, I never in a million bajillion years imagined that I would actually get the part. Not only had I never been cast to do voiceover work before this, but also it's Batman. You don't go from zero to Mount Olympus. Then I got the call and I screamed so loud, I just ran and grabbed my kids and was just like, Dad's Batman. And, you know, that makes me very happy for him. He's very clearly, you know, sometimes voice roles or even acting roles to some actors out there are just gigs. You know, it's like, okay, you know, I'm playing the role, maybe I have a bit of fun with it, but to actually love the role as much as he's making it out to be is just really music to my ears, because you want somebody who's really a big fan of what he's doing. But let me know what you think of Hamish Linklater playing Batman. I recommend watching the whole little cast reveal trailer to hear his voice throughout it. But now I've got quite a bunch to read out with regards to other details. Vanity Fair gave us so much, and it really gets us in depth into the characters that will be explored, the tones. So as for Harley Quinn, Chung's performance as Harley Quinn is a radical departure from the madcap Brooklyn accent typically associated with the character, who will soon be played by Lady Gaga in this fall's live-action sequel Joker Folie à Deux. Batman Caped Crusader significantly reimagines her villainous origin story as well. Chung's Dr. Harleen Quinzel is still a psychiatrist, but one who chooses wrongdoing on her own rather than being driven insane by the Joker, who is not a presence in her life. At least, not yet. If anything, this version of Harley Quinn as a self-appointed vigilante has more in common with Batman himself, since her crime spree involves capturing and manipulating the wealthiest citizens of Gotham. And we know from our first look at Batman Caped Crusader that she is actually, so one of those wealthiest citizens of Gotham in where she captures and manipulates them is Bruce Wayne himself. He's actually going to therapy, I guess, with Harley. This initially caused a bit of waves. People like, oh, this isn't Harley Quinn, you know, her origin is tied with the Joker. But I'm actually quite down to see, as they say here, a radically different reimagination. I'm always about innovation, especially when you have threads and character traits that still echo through true. It offers kind of new story, obviously, but something with a bit of an interesting twist that still can eventually end up with even more threads of accuracy, because as they said, who is not a presence in her life yet with regards to Joker. Not yet. So that will happen down the line, and I'm super intrigued. But we get some more details here on Harley Quinn, where they say you have the psychiatrist that is really bubbly and seems like she really cares about her clients, but she's kind of like a Robin Hood. She treats some of the elites in Gotham, but she takes it upon herself to bring justice in her own way. It's kind of creepy. They really wanted Harley Quinn to be very menacing, a bit more quiet and calculating. In a weird way, she's like a dominatrix. You're in all this pain, and yet she's telling you what to do, and you've been a bad boy. Oh my goodness gracious me. So I'm down to see that, because Harley, obviously, we've seen her go from Joker to then go out on her own, almost, yes, into a bit of an anti-hero mode in many cases. I guess, that is actually even what happened to the Birds of Prey Margot Robbie version of Harley Quinn. So now we're having a bit of a reversal, and not only with Harley Quinn, we actually have some reversals with characters like Two-Face, of which we'll get onto. Why come back to the Batcave for another tour of duty? Both Tim and Tucker said that they wanted to tell a more sophisticated Batman story in animation this time. I'm a huge film noir fan, and that's pretty much what we do exclusively in this. It's such a period piece. I mean, I've done all kinds of Batman, I've worked on shows with different takes on Batman. No one has quite done this one for animation yet. Tim also saw a chance to go darker than he had before. There were certain things that I had in my mind back in the early 90s for the original Batman the Animated Series that I didn't get to do. I wanted to do this emotionally messed up version of Batman who's extremely aloof and almost inhuman. And that's something we've heard about this series. It is kind of taking a much more darker approach to that of Batman the Animated Series, which is a very appealing point to this, because with the veins of Batman that we all like still being injected into this animated series, or at least seemingly with what we're hearing, but it also taking a more darker approach with some new innovative takes on storytelling of these characters, I'm definitely down for that. Now, they do go on to say, though, with that in mind, while the new show is not R-rated or especially violent or sexual, unlike the ultra raunchy and savage Harley Quinn animated series on Max, it is a bit more sinister and complex. And that's the thing, you can still inject that without it being R-rated and still pull it off with a massive tonal difference to that of Batman the Animated Series, right? Batman fans come in all ages, and although Caped Crusader may have the bright, clear lines of an after-school cartoon, its stories are surprisingly sophisticated. We are aiming this show at the same age group that watches Harry Potter movies or Marvel movies, says Tim. There are actual murders to solve, the hero himself is damaged and self-destructive, and the more characters sometimes fall for each other in ways beyond plummeting from high buildings. And this is something I'm intrigued with as well, the way they're kind of describing Bruce Wayne here, and we're about to get into it even more. Obviously, Batman isn't always like that at a certain point in his career, after he's worked through a lot of stuff with years and years and years of experience. So it's making me wonder, how early on is this Bruce Wayne, especially with what we're about to read out here. So that's what Linklater brought to the crime fighter, giving him a detached, predatory feel while also paying homage to the late voice actor who played Batman in that earlier show and countless others over the decades. I think it's actually off my memory of Kevin Conroy's voice, Linklater says. When I've actually rewatched the shows, I realized that it was different, but I had him in my head. So that is something that's interesting, because I don't think he sounds too much, really, like Kevin Conroy, but he's saying that he still had him in his head the whole time. I feel like to be a bit more Kevin Conroy from what we heard on the cast reveal trailer, you'd have to be, a couple of octaves lower, but maybe that, after all, that was his Batman voice. I do wonder what the Bruce Wayne socialite voice will be like from Linklater here. So we're going to have to wait and see. But Tim says Linklater got the role because of his take of Bruce Wayne, which, again, maybe it's going to sound very interesting that way. We had a lot of people who were pretty good Batmans, but almost no good Bruces. Linklater followed Tim's guidance to think of Batman as the core of the character and his rich public face as a front. So this is where it might cause a bit of debate amongst Batman fans, because whenever I see the mask conversation, people often don't like Bruce Wayne being put down to as just the mask and Batman is who he really is. I know a lot of people, I think most popularly out there, think that is the case, and it is in a way, or can be actually, in the very early days. I mean, look at what Matt Reeves did with the Batman. I would say that Bruce was such a vigilante workaholic that Bruce Wayne was the mask at that point, but obviously we're following a very early Bruce Wayne with Robert Pattinson, and he's going to come out more and realize that there is very much so a synergy between Bruce Wayne and Batman, and that is actually the truth at the bottom of it. Bruce Wayne isn't technically just the mask, even though the persona of Bruce Wayne is equipped as a mask quite often for Batman. But Bruce, that doesn't mean that there is no little boy Bruce Wayne within that of Batman. So that's why I think some fans get a bit possessive and find that statement reductive. But I don't blame, the guidance that Linklater explains here, because it is quite a popular surface level take on how Batman and Bruce Wayne operate out there in the minds of many fans. So Bruce Wayne, he says here, is the mask. He's the secret identity. He's the invention. Batman is the actual character, the actual guy. It's set in the 40s, so I just thought of how Batman would try and play himself off as a playboy socialite. I think I just tried to swing until I made contact with something. Now, Tim describes Bruce Wayne as a persona that Batman himself has cultivated to throw people off of his scent. Deep down inside, he's not a fun guy. He's not charming. He's not sexy or anything like that. He's devoted to wearing on crime 24/7. Hamish was really the only one who nailed exactly what we were going for. Now, there was a quirkiness we were hoping to hear beneath the surface of Bruce Wayne, adds Tucker, where you could sense something was slightly off, but not so overt that it was weird. Now, among those romances is a new take on the toxic Batman versus Catwoman relationship. I wouldn't call what they have romantic per se, it's more chemical. There's pheromones involved. Now, Ricci's performance is a throwback to the femme fatales of film noir era, with a bit of the brassy self-determination of the screwball comedy characters played by Carol Lombard. There's something going on there, and he doesn't really know how to deal with it. Our Batman is closed off emotionally all the way down to the ground. We jokingly kept saying throughout the show that he makes Mr. Spock look like the life of the party. As much as he tries to tamp down all of his emotions, Catwoman throws him off. He becomes obsessed with catching her and putting her away in prison just so he can kind of stop thinking about her. So that is actually really reminiscent to me of what Reeves was going for. Matt Reeves, obviously also working on Caped Crusader, was going for with Robert Pattinson's early days Bruce Wayne, who was still becoming Batman, and Selena Kyle. It's also a situation of where he's pretty closed off all the way down to the ground as well, but we're likely going to see him open up more in the Batman Part 2. But initially, it really does match the description here of what they're going for in Caped Crusader. So I feel like there's a bit of parallels there with, both Bruce Wayne iterations development as they go more into their Batmanhood. And Catwoman is also a similar kind of tool being used to kind of maybe help aid that, because will he really be able to throw her away in prison? Probably not. Now, Batman's Caped Crusader, once again here, similar to Harley Quinn, reverses the polarity of Two-Face in a sense. While most versions have made him the story of a good man whose burn scars turn him maniacal, this show starts him out as a corrupt DA who uses his position to help rich criminals evade justice. Now, that is quite different. We thought, well, what if he starts off as kind of a schnook, and then what if he gets his face disfigured? For the first time in his life, he actually feels empathy for other people. Two-Face is still a bad guy, but like Harley Quinn, he's lashing out for what he believes is a noble cause. Like Batman himself, all of them live outside the law for what they consider righteous reasons. And again, I think some people might react a bit like, no, that's not Two-Face. But again, guys, I'm all down for new takes like this, because if the character is still the character in many of the ways that makes up their character traits, but there's a bit of a, again, as they describe, reversal of the polarity of said character in the way that they're kind of branching out as the timeline in Gotham transpires. I'm very interested to see how that plays off. So very intrigued to see how that plays off, if it is successful and doesn't actually end up kind of, alienating fans of these characters. Because if they do it right, and I added that in because it really could, but if they do it right, people might actually appreciate, hey, in a similar Elseworlds kind of vein, right? Because this is Elseworlds, technically, it's a noir animated series of Batman. People often like new dishes on things like this and characters like this, all within still not going completely out of the umbrella of familiarity. I'm liking what I'm hearing, a bit apprehensive at the same time, I must admit, but optimistically apprehensive, if that makes sense. Now, up next, just want to remind everyone, just in case you haven't seen my video yesterday and where I do a reaction and an initial breakdown to the new official teaser 2 for the Penguin, we got a new Penguin trailer, and it was very, very cool. Go check out my video from yesterday just in case you have missed it. There are some very new interesting details in that, but I will be coming back probably next week to do a very much so in-depth breakdown, because there's some other scenes that I didn't talk about that give details of the background of Sophia and other very interesting points about other characters. But we have a new poster. I think it slaps so hard. The textless version of it is like, damn, that looks so cool. Wouldn't be surprised if I put that in this thumbnail. And we have Matt Reeves here saying, so excited to share this, the next chapter in the Batman epic crime saga. Academy Award nominee Colin Farrell is the Penguin in the new Max original series coming this September to stream on Max. And we still don't have a day. I was hoping with this trailer we would have got a day, because again, I'm a bit anxious about it because I'm going away to Spain for like 5 days, and knowing my luck, it will be on one of those days. Oh man, the blessing and the curse never ceases. And speaking of characters, I mentioned this briefly at the end of my Penguin trailer reaction, but we do have Carmen Ejogo playing a character named Eve Carlo in the series, and lots of people are thinking, could this be the opening stepping stones to Basil Carlo, also known as Clayface? And, there's been rumors for a long time surrounding maybe the Golden Age Clayface being in the Batman Part 2. Even, actually, that rumor started off with the Penguin series. So it makes you think, some people are saying, is it a gender-flipped Clayface, or is Carmen kind of like the brother, or not the brother, the sister or the wife to Basil? Like, who knows? That's the thing. It's definitely something I'm going to keep my eyes peeled on, and I'll have more on that in my next video on the in-depth breakdown, but just keep that bookmarked in your minds. But again, go check out my video from yesterday if you haven't already. And as for fans of Superman and Lois, for the final season, we have our release date. The CW announced that it will be making its return on October 17th, on a Thursday. And we also got like a little CW trailer of all of their shows, and some people are claiming that this is our first look at Doomsday in Superman and Lois Season 4. So not our first look at him, but just in Season 4. I didn't know if this was recycled footage, because the trailer initially did play a lot of recycled footage from previous seasons of Superman and Lois, but you could argue at the back half when they showed this, it was our first glimpse at the continuation of that battle between Tyler Hoechlin's Superman and their version of Doomsday. But I absolutely can't wait for this. I will be breaking it down on the channel. Now, as for the DCU guys, Superman stuff, this is getting very exciting, and I'm also pretty damn anxious at the same time, because it's like, when you're in the know of like, okay, this is all happening as they're constructing sets, this could, it drives me insane hearing my own voice say it again, but any day now, we might be getting our first look at Lois and Clark, and we might have already done so in a weird way that eluded me in the previous video, and more on that in a second, with what a certain photo captured of a possible Lois and Clark moment. In addition to what I covered with the Daily Planet sign going up on the Leader building in Cleveland, here we have some more developments of the actual Daily Planet globe going up on that entrance as well. And I remember thinking in the previous video, I was like, I'm in love with the kind of golden look of the entrance to the Daily Planet, the revolving doors, but I was thinking, well, Superman Returns had the little globe above it. Will we be getting that? And here we can actually see them setting it up. So initially you could see them trying to haul it up there. This isn't the globe that goes on top of the building, because they were like, it's a bit small, isn't it? No, we know there is a globe on the top of the building, thanks to various skyline designs of Metropolis that are seen on shop windows of this street. And this is very reminiscent of what we see in this picture right here. So absolutely can't wait to see a similar thing, maybe a similar glow. But it's not only that of which is being set up on this set, guys. As you can see, the rubble falls down onto the street below, even some cars trapped beneath it. There's even some cars where it looks like there's an indent in there for maybe someone to land on, so maybe Superman's gonna land on that. Obviously, that is just total speculation. And it's scenes like this where, you have to think that they're going to get a shot of Superman himself out there on set one of these days. If not Lois and Clark in reporter mode, which I'll get onto in just a second because we might have got a glimpse at that, but actually seeing, for once, outside the official suit reveal, maybe David Corenswet on set. It might be an actual unavoidable thing at this point, unless they really plan to put up a massive curtain rail tarping over this scene. That is always a possibility, but a lot of effort to do so. But then again, at this point, we've had the suit reveal, and we've all been expecting, just like with a lot of filming, is it so bad that we see David Corenswet in the suit on the street for filming? I don't think so. I mean, it'll obviously cause a lot of discourse on both sides of the camp, and you know what I mean by that, but I am wondering, as I keep saying every video, is it going to happen today by the time I post this video, tomorrow? So am I going to be working on the weekend, maybe early next week? We're going to have to wait and see. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if it's today, but I don't know. They still might manage to keep it locked down somehow, like they have done so. This is just a set where things are, I guess you could say, leaking, but it's so open on the street that you get passers-by easily taking photos. So will they let that play out with actors on set as well? I hope so. And will I be editing this video as I'm about to post it, adding more in? Maybe, because I've been doing that quite a bit lately. Now, as for the Lois and Clark possible sighting, if you will, it's so interesting because I showcased Ian Meadows' photos. Go follow him for other photos that he has on my previous News Roundup video. But we didn't really spot who was on the inside of this window. And it appears to be, now I can't guarantee this, but inside Jitter's Coffee, you can see a couple of actors there, or like people, let's just say people for now, looking very similarly dressed to a Clark Kent in a shirt, wearing glasses, opposite a woman who may be in Lois Lane attire, kind of brown hair, I don't know exactly what she's wearing, but obviously, now yes, I'm very aware this is not David Corenswet and Rachel Brosnahan. So some people are wondering if they're kind of very early testing potential light and camera positioning, which could be possible because, I don't want to get carried away with this saying that these are kind of stand-ins for camera testing inside the Jitters scene, of which you would have to think they might be filming if they're building that set, although, it could just be a set for the street view. But you could argue, what if they're people who just, I guess, own the business and they're just in there and this guy happens to be wearing a shirt that Clark would be wearing to the Daily Planet, brown hair and glasses, and also standing opposite a woman who could also look like Lois Lane for a stand-in. I don't know. Again, I don't want to put all my bets on it, but I just thought I'd bring it to your attention. And I found it funny how I showcased, and a lot of us showcased these photos out there on various different outlets, and no one realized this until one eagle-eye viewer did. And it's like, oh, maybe. But that is everything for now, ladies and gentlemen, that I'm going to get in this video. But I wouldn't be surprised if there's going to be more things coming out. So make sure you are subscribed to the channel. And also just know if more breaking stuff happens with actors on set, but if it uploads very late in my time zone, I will obviously be getting to it the next day. I mean, because of time zones, sometimes that stuff just drops at like 2 a.m. So just know, before you comment, that I have seen it and I will be covering it, just maybe not in the middle of the night. Let me know your thoughts on everything else that we discussed in this video, Batman Caped Crusader and whatnot. But I just really appreciate you guys for watching, supporting the content. It really does mean a lot to me. I love the community here. I love the discourse in the comments. It's just, I love doing it. So just thank you for being a part of it. Thank you for being a part of the channel. If you made it this far, consider liking it and helping me out that way as well. Follow me on socials. All of those good links and whatnot are down in the description below, as well as, credit to the people who helped take these photos and make this breakdown even happen. But until next time, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll see you people of the DC Universe in the next video. Goodbye.